So I would like to say the official good evening to everybody here tonight at Twin River. This is the 10th annual Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame induction banquet. I'm John Coletto from the Board of Directors and representing the board. It's so nice to see all of you tonight. So many familiar faces from the world of radio, past and present, and also a lot of people here who are here in support of inductees. Congratulations to the class of 2017, a terrific class. You're going to learn a lot about everybody here tonight. We have a great lineup of all the things that we would like to do here this evening. I would like to just acknowledge the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame Board of Directors, the members who are here with us tonight, and if they could stand and give a little wave, because we work hard to put this together every year and go through the process of putting the class together and the voting process and everything like that. And it's a lot of fun. Dick Pahalik, stand up. Vinny Shibata, Steve Mack, Andy Lamchick, Steve Cass, Paul Zangari, John Rook, Jeff Followitz, Tony Rossini, Janice Skelly is in the house, Dave Richards, Joe Lembo. We have an awesome board of directors, and there they are. There's most of them anyway. Also, before we move things along to Deb and to Steve Mack, just want to pass along some well wishes and greetings from a couple of the Hall of Fame members who couldn't be with us tonight but certainly wanted to. Gary DeGrade would like to say hi to everybody and congratulations to this year's class. He was hoping to come up from his new home. Those of you who don't know, he lives in Kentucky now. So Gary says hello. Also, Jimmy Gray could not be here tonight. He is convalescing, and we wish him the very best. And Jimmy would like to say congratulations to this year's class as well, particularly Tony Mascaro and Dick Rackavan. Charlie Jeffords is unable to make it tonight, and he gives his best to everybody and says hello. And Tom Cuddy couldn't make it tonight. He had a commitment down at WOR in New York, and Tom says congratulations to this year's class as well. So I'd like to turn things over now to the person who's really the driving force behind the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame at this point, Debbie Rich.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening. And I'm the driving force now, but about 10 years ago, John Rook thought about having a Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. So thank you, John. It's an exciting year. We have a new checking account. We have a PayPal account. And we have website updates thanks to my friend Holland Cook. So thank you for helping me with that. We're streaming live this year for the first time thanks to Hall of Famer Dave Richards, who's back here. So if some of your friends and family couldn't make it, please tell them to go on our Facebook page and you will see this all live in living color. And everyone will see that we really do have faces for radio. I also want to thank Gene Hutnack tonight, who gives his all to photograph our events, and Express Printing for doing the programs. And they're very generous, no charge, and I really couldn't do this without them, so thank you. Also, Mike Salwa at iHeart Radio, sitting over at the New England Tech table for helping me edit the audio montages this year. And I also want to thank the Special Olympics volunteers. I couldn't do any of this without all of them. So I want also to let you know that there are a lot of Hall of Famers in the room tonight. So if you can stand up, that would be great. I have Roger Bouchard, John Coletto, Holland Cook, Bob DiCarlo, Duffy Egan, Dave Fallon, Bill George, Karen Kay, Steve Cass, Steve McDonald, Paul Perry, Dave Richards, John Rook, and Janice Skelly. And I'm hoping for David Jones to appear somehow, and Bill Corsair and Jimmy Gray are here in spirit. So thank you so much for everyone for coming tonight. I hope we have some fun. And now I'm going to turn it over to the extraordinary one and only Steve McDonald.
Thanks, Deb. Great job. Hey, thanks for that smattering of applause. I appreciate it. That was nice. Never felt more welcome than I do right now. I don't need the pity claps. I'll need them later, though. I want to thank Deb and John, both of those. Well, they're the two that spearhead this thing. You know, it was John Rook for years, and he did yeoman's work, and then he passed that torch on to John Coletto and to Deb Rich, and the two of them, and still John doing a lot of work for it as well, putting together a great evening. So how about a nice round of applause for really all three of them, but especially John and Deb, who have taken over this role. There's a lot to do. We're going to track down all the audio, which you'll see, a lot of great stuff there, biographical information, getting all the seating down, finding a fat, mediocre MC, and, you know, a lot of work goes in, and they seem to have crossed off all the boxes. So the Celts start at 8 o'clock tonight. I guess we didn't announce Ron St. Pierre as a Hall of Famer. Ronzo? Stand up and be recognized. Ronzo. Ronzo gave me my first job in radio, so you can blame him, some 33 years ago. And about 10 people applied for a weekend sports job, and I was one of them. I had done an internship at HJJ, so I go in to interview for the job. It paid $8 an hour, and it was 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday. So I told Ron, you know, I'd work for nothing if he would sit down and critique my work so I can get better. Ron heard I will work for nothing and gave me the job right on site, and I've been with him ever since. So, Ron, thanks for all you've done for me. Appreciate it. Ron St. Pierre, one of the best in the business. We had planned to have a guest speaker coming in from Chicago, but I just got a text a few hours ago. Apparently, he was dragged off his United Airlines flight and will not be able to make it. So we do have two roving reporters, though. This is pretty cool from WPRO. Tara Granahan, where's Tara? Tara's over here, over there. There's Tara in the corner. And Paul Zangari, where's Paul? Paul, turn around, show him that jacket, will you, the back of it? Say WEAN 790 AM jacket. Paul will be appearing on Hoarders next week on Wednesday night. Paul, let's get the wardrobe change a little bit here, right? Fantastic stuff. But we're going to have Tara and Paul going around and talking to people throughout the night, doing some interviews with some of the faces in the crowd. We did this as a result of what we heard, like complaints in the past. A lot of people thought that this night didn't go long enough, so we figured we'd tack on an extra half hour for you, so you make sure you get home after midnight. At this time, we have a couple of speakers before we have dinner, two people who are very, very important to this event and to the Hall of Fame as well. It's, first of all, from the Special Olympics Rhode Island, the executive director, a person who puts yeoman's work in for so many great kids and adults in the community. We appreciate all the work that he and his organization does. From Special Olympics Rhode Island, Dennis DeJesus. Dennis?
Thanks, Steve. On behalf of the 3,500 athletes statewide who participate in Special Olympics Rhode Island, I just want to give a shout out and a great big thank you to Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame for selecting us as the charity of choice. Thank you. All proceeds from tonight's dinner will go to support those athletes. We're very proud of the fact that no athlete pays to participate in Special Olympics, so a partnership like this is extremely important to make sure we fund 25 sports year-round from January through December in support of those great athletes. And a month from now, we'll be down at the University of Rhode Island celebrating our 49th annual State Summer Games, where we will welcome 1,500 athletes to the campus of URI for a great weekend of acceptance, inclusion, and respect. So on behalf of those athletes, on behalf of our staff, I just want to say thank you so very, very much. And if 49 seems important, it's nice to note that next year in 2018, Special Olympics movement worldwide will celebrate their 50th anniversary, and we're proud of that and proud of the events that we have planned coming up. So thank you, have a great night, and appreciate all your support. Thank you.
We tell Dennis every year, keep it under 2 minutes and we'll give you the money next year as well. So you are in. I want to thank, once again, Dennis DeJesus, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. DeJesus had a great Easter Sunday, right? Rose from the dead. Was that you? Oh, that's the other Jesus. I'm sorry. Okay. Our next speaker is Tom Strolla, chairman of the Digital Media Production Department at New England Tech. New England Tech generously helps provide a scholarship to a Rhode Island student looking to pursue a career in broadcasting. Hey, good luck, buddy. Good luck to you. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Tom Strolla was just Tom Strolla from New England Tech, but after the commencement ceremonies at the Dunk, he is now Tom Strolla, Big Poppy's best friend. Tom Strolla from New England Tech.
Hi, thank you. Just a couple of words. Actually, that scholarship is not only from New England Tech, but it's something we share with you guys at the Hall of Fame. It's a mutual scholarship, and we've been doing that for several years, and we're really proud of it, and we thank you guys a lot as well. As a matter of fact, I just wanted to mention Nick Seiner, if he could get up. He's our scholarship winner from the Rhode Island Hall of Fame, and we're really happy for that. I know Steve is joking about jobs in broadcast, but as I look around here, I see a lot of New England Tech grads and actually instructors that have been a part of our program for several years. So that is just great. Just wanted to congratulate all the inductees this year, and thank you for your time.
Hey, DeJesus? That was 20 seconds, right? That was even better than you, man. I want to thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate all that New England Tech does. And once again, we do want to recognize Nick Steiner. It's great to have him here. As I stand up again, Nick, will you? Nick is pursuing that career in radio, and he welcomes any of you to stop by and visit him at work if you'd like. He's working at Newport Creamery in Seekonk Wednesdays and Fridays, 5 till close. So keep that radio dream going, pal. Want to let you know that the 50-50 raffle is underway as we speak. And this year, rather than give it out at the end of the night, we're going to give it out right before dinner. No, right after dinner. Yeah, so we're going to have you a chance during dinner to get raffle tickets, and then before we start the program, we'll give out the money. So it works out pretty well. 50-50 raffle underway right now. I think we'll have people come by to your table to ask you to purchase tickets, so have some money ready if you can. All the proceeds go directly to the Special Olympics of Rhode Island, so we appreciate your generosity. Enjoy each other's company, enjoy dinner, and we'll be back with you to recognize some very, very special people in just a bit. Thanks. If I can have your attention, we're going to get started with the program so that we get you out of here at a timely hour. That's code for the Celtics tip-off at 8 o'clock. And it's 7:45. So if we could limit the acceptance speeches to about 20 to 30 seconds apiece, that would be great. How about a nice round of applause for the wait staff and everybody working in the back room for us here at Twin River. We're going to have the 50-50 raffle winners in a little bit, but we're still collecting tickets. So if you need tickets, table 21, I guess, is where they're still selling them. Give you a few more moments, and then in just a little while we'll give out the 50-50 raffle number and see who the winner is. Deb said that Paul Perry, where's Paul? Paul Perry, can you stand up? There's Paul. Paulie apparently was complaining that he was left out of the Hall of Fame list. Sounds like Paul to me. Paul, there was a reason your Hall of Fame induction is under review, so we'll be back with you later on in the night. Paul Perry, yeah, go ahead. Hey, and this is the honest-to-God truth. for my money, the absolute funniest person I have ever heard on the radio ever in my life. Paul Perry, right there. Awesome. When he was working at HJJ and I was over there, man, what was it, 12 to 2? First of all, that's a great gig, 12 to 2, man, right? That's you're there 50 minutes and you get a break already. You're halfway done with your show. But with Mrs. Panarella on the oh, man, I'll tell you what. Those are priceless days, Paul. We appreciate all you've done for this business, and you have been a shining jewel. Next year, you get on the original list when we name the Hall of Famers. Got a letter from somebody not able to make it, texted actually. Dear committee, thanks very much for the invitation. Sorry I can't make the dinner. Please tell the bleeping inductees that I am bleeping proud of them, and that's a bleeping great accomplishment. Sincerely, Manny Machado. I want to thank Manny for sending that along. Baltimore Orioles. Swears a lot. So it's time for the Shepard Award, one of the great awards that we give out. We like to lead off with it because of its great importance. And this year it's presented to the late Mowry Lowe. And here's Tony Rizzini to tell you more.
A pioneering New England newscaster and gifted announcer, Mowry Lowe was a premier radio executive. Working his way up from an intern at WEAN to its general manager, he learned the ins and the outs of a new industry, producing and delivering radio programs, including sports, game shows, soap operas, and news. Mowry's informative newscasts helped Rhode Islanders through the scary hurricane of 1938. He founded the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association and served as its first president. He began Radio Rhode Island and WLKW. Mowry contributed to the growth and evolution of radio on both the national and local levels.
How do you do, everyone? This is Mowry Lowe speaking to you from in front of the Strand Theater in downtown Providence. The shows that we started then, I think we did the very first amateur show in the city from the stage of Lowe's Theater downstairs.
Right
here.
downstairs, right.
That's right. As a matter of fact, it was sponsored by a furniture company which is no longer in existence. The idea of the street broadcast was not only to get people up to the street broadcast to answer things about themselves or their jobs or their families, but also to intersperse the questions, that type of question, with little trick questions, catch questions, which provided the entertainment part of the feature, and many of the gag questions that was prevalent at that time. And this is where I had the opportunity to meet the public and to learn what I call the art of interviewing, which I think many of our so-called interviewers today could learn a lot from it. Well, I think one of the biggest names in today's television field especially was my good friend Fred Wachenheimer, whose name, of course, everybody knows today is Fred Friendly.
Yes.
Fred started on the station that I was connected with at that time, very humbly, was a dedicated man. You knew that this man was going to go places and do things, and he was one of them. Fred Friendly, who today does such an outstanding job on television documentaries and whatnot. Radio moved out of the living room, and I think if you analyze that, you'll see what I mean. Television is providing today all the great shows that radio used to provide.
Yes.
And radio of necessity had to become a personal medium. It became a one-listener thing rather than a family thing in the living room. So that the radio went into the garage and the bedroom and in the kitchen. Individual listening on the beach, wherever you go, they say, and I'm sure that's true, there's radio. To our friends in the East, good morning. To our friends in the West, good night. And to all our friends everywhere, good luck.
The 2017 Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame John and Robert Shepard Award, presented to the late Mowry Lowe for contributions to the business and support of radio in Rhode Island through leadership, dedication, achievement, innovation, and spirit. Accepting the award, Mowry's daughter, Roberta Allen. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it very much. Very much. This is the award here.
Yes. You'll excuse me, I'm going to read this because I'm a little overwhelmed. I didn't realize I was going to be hearing my father's voice. Thank you to the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association for honoring my father's accomplishments, and especially to Tony Rossini and Deb Rich, who first reached out to me. What a thrill for me, my son Scott and daughter Sarah, grandsons Jeff and Max, and my oldest friends from my childhood who knew and loved my dad and have always been there for me. Growing up, I was exposed to the impact my father's career had on the broadcasting community and his enthusiastic early vision for the future of radio and TV broadcasting in Rhode Island. His ideals, integrity, dedication to his craft, and generosity in helping young talent were legend in the industry and in the community. I have one brief story that I want to share with you. When the great hurricane of 1938 hit, it was epic, and without any warning, with private communication lost, Mowry Lowe opened the WEAN studios and microphones so families could let loved ones know they were safe. My son Mark, the family historian, was unable to travel to join us this evening, but recently he came across this note. The letterhead reads, "The Yankee Network, Brookline Avenue, Boston, Mass., Office of the President," and it is dated September 22nd, 1938. It reads, "Dear Maury, just a line to tell you that I think the job you did last night was swell. Very sincerely, John Shepard III." How fitting that I am accepting this distinguished Shepard Award. My dad died 44 years ago. Perhaps that was before many of you were born. It makes me proud that he is still honored and remembered. Having two of his 4 great-grandsons with me makes it especially meaningful. He was a truly remarkable man, and we still miss him every day. Thank you. Love you, Daddy.
Don't forget your glasses.
What a wonderful job, Roberta Allen. And her grandson, Jeff, he did a nice job, didn't he, huh? Keeping Grandma right on pace. That was awesome, and what a fitting tribute to a wonderful man, and we appreciate very much you guys being here, and we're honored to have you here. This time we're going to go to Faces in the Crowd. Paul Zangari has already made a wardrobe change. Very good, Paul. It's all yours, brother.
I just wanted to point out a distinguished Rhode Islander who's here and say hello to him, a man who, if you didn't know what he did, you might hear his voice and say, this guy ought to be in radio. It's Bishop Jelena. Welcome, Bishop.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. You've got some wonderful programs that you provide for us all, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Bishop, I just was wondering the years that you actually were in the seat in the diocese.
Yes, I came in January of 1972, and I retired in 1997, so almost 26 years that I was here, and enjoyed every bit of it.
It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it, and I'm awful glad to be here. Congratulations to all those who are being honored this evening.
Now it's time for the Station of the Year. Time to celebrate iHeart Radio Providence.
Thank you. But wait.
Can't believe these slackers won. Those are my people. All right. Sounds good. I believe the Russians had something to do with this election. But let's look to the big screen for iHeart Radio Providence.
94 HJY. Coast 93.3.
Over at iHeart Radio, the station of the year. I'd like to say something about Rhonda. This may sound like I'm sucking up to my boss, but that's only because I'm sucking up to my boss. But Rhonda is our leader over at 75 Oxford, and yeah, it's a tough business. We all know that. But Rhonda makes that building at 75 Oxford a fun place to go, a positive place to go, and a place where we can work our craft as best as we can. But we always know that the people at top, especially Rhonda, appreciate what goes on at that radio station. It's a friendly place to work, it's a productive place to work, and she makes sure that we know we're appreciated by a trip up the stairs to say thanks, by a nice email or a nice note, and most of all, by the delivery each and every Thursday morning of Dunkin' Donuts Munchkins to our studio. And I'll tell you, if Rhonda misses a Thursday, she gets emails from us. But, we joke a lot about the Munchkins because they come every Thursday morning. But they are assigned to us that she knows that we're putting in the work that we can put in and that she appreciates it. And it means an awful lot to us. So we want to thank Rhonda Lapham for all that she's done on behalf of iHeart Radio, and thank our iHeart Radio for their support of the community. Rhonda?
Thanks, Mac. I really appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Great news. I have great news for everybody. I really do not like public speaking, so I promise this is going to be very short. In fact, 4 minutes and 40 seconds, First, I wanted to thank the committee of the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame for nominating and choosing iHeart stations here in Providence as the stations of the year. We are incredibly humbled to receive this recognition, and we're really very honored, so thank you very much for that. When I learned that we would be receiving this reward or award, I was able to reflect on how very fortunate that I am to actually work with such a dynamic crew that I work with at iHeart. When I tell you that there isn't one individual in the building that wouldn't go that extra mile to make sure that something got done, that's a guarantee. It happens every single day in our building. It's a common theme, and it's actually a desire for us to serve the community, the listeners of Rhode Island and Southern Massachusetts. And it's for that reason that we participate in so many various different charitable events throughout the year. Anything from the Special Olympics, then we go to the American Heart Association walks, the Lung Association walk, and climb. We do the Tomorrow Fun Walk and a variety of March of Dimes events. The Providence Animal Rescue League, Providence Historical Society, Gloria Gemma organizations, Meeting Street, Toys for Tots, and of course, the Rhode Island Food Bank, which we'll catch up on a little bit later. All of these organizations touch so many different individuals within our community, and it's our responsibility to communicate the needs of these organizations, as well as the services that they provide to our listeners and to our community. We do this so our listeners can be involved. They can also improve these organizations and then perhaps even have the opportunity to improve themselves. So let me take a few more minutes of your time to tell you about how the community and our listeners actually made a difference during our 33-hour food-a-thon that we held in November of last year. Each of our stations camped out in the vestibules of 3 different Ocean State job lots. We were in North Kingstown, we were in Coventry, and in Johnston. And our thought was that we wanted to reach all of the various different areas throughout Rhode Island, and so that we could have the whole community join our drive. Our day started out at 6 a.m. on November 18th, and thank God it wasn't a snowy or cold day. It was actually pretty mild. People were coming out with their cars and trucks filled with various different canned goods, and others were heading into the store, and then they were coming out of the store filled with shopping carriages filled with different goods that they were going to be transported then into various different RIPTA buses that we had at each one of the locations that were then going to be transported to the Rhode Island Food Bank. Our jocks were on the hand. They were chatting up the event, inviting listeners to come down, offering a pair of P. Bruins tickets or a T-shirt or a hat, whatever the lucky listeners were able to win when they when they dropped into the Plinko board. Truth be told, though, Bill George, that we did hold onto those WWE tickets into the late night hours, the 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Did we have a winner over there? We wanted those listeners to come on down. And believe it or not, we still had people coming at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. There was even a woman that was tucking herself into bed and was listening to the sultry voice of Bill George on B101. Yes, you all know it, right? He was talking about the food drive, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, so she put her cat T-shirt on, and she decided she was going to go to a 24-hour grocery store. She bought a whole bunch of canned goods, and she came on down, and she made a donation. This is what we're talking about when we say that the community was involved. In fact, the community was so involved, they donated over 11,000 pounds of food, which was then matched with an additional 50,000 pounds of food from Ocean State Job Lot. It was simply fantastic and rewarding. It was an event that would not have been possible without the incredible involvement of our team in Providence as well as our listeners. We had the jocks, Paul and Al, Jen, Doug, Matt, Kelsey, TC, Kristen, Bill George, Mike Salwa, Matt Anderson, Steve Scarpetti, who not only was on the air, but he was also the individual that orchestrated the entire event. And then Rob Anthony, who of course created this wonderful and very unique opportunity. Our engineers, Steve Conti and Steve Filaravere, we couldn't have been able to do it without them. And we had our fingers crossed at 5:59 on November 18th when we went on the air that we were always going to be good. Then we had Jamie Harrington, who created a video, which unfortunately we can't see right now, but he went around to each one of our different locations that we were at, and he filmed a video so that we could recap our event and show all of the community what exactly they had done. Our promotions team, they were wide awake, again, even at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, enthusiastically loading up the RIPTA buses with all of the canned goods that they came in. And then finally, our sales team, each of whom did a shift and then some at each one of the events. Your dedication to our team's success is unmatched and very much appreciated. I would be remiss if I didn't thank, of course, the folks at Ocean State Job Lot for allowing us to take over their vestibules for the 33 hours, as well as the RIPTA folks that allowed us to take over their buses for 2.5 days. And then we were unloading them at the Rhode Island Food Bank. I swear, if I've missed anybody, I'm really terribly sorry, but I'm so appreciative of everybody who was involved in the event, and I want to thank them, and I look forward to working with you and everyone else for so many more years in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda, very much, and thanks to everybody at iHeart Media, including me, I guess, right? That'd be good. Here's a letter from somebody not able to make it. Dear Hall of Fame Committee, thanks for the invite. Sorry I can't make it Thursday night. I am already booked giving a lecture, How Great Britain Won the American Revolution. Sincerely, Sean Spicer. I want to thank Sean for sending that along. You got a smart table over there. This year's Legacy Station Award goes to WICE.
This is Bill Corsair. From the mid-1950s into the 70s, WICE The Mighty 1290 was a top 40 powerhouse in Providence. That was the heyday of the WICE we remember so fondly today. The station, the music, and the personalities.
The station of the stars. WICE Music All-Star Radio.
Providence, Southern New England, stand by. The new WICE Musical Pulse shows this tune to be the #1 song this week. Little Eva, my dear, and the Locomotion back in the #1 spot. Here we go, Southern New England. You are faced with an emergency in the dark of the night. In the bright of the afternoon sun. You need someone, and you need them fast. Call Operation Contact at Jackson 12711.
You're listening to WICE Providence, where WICE Week begins Monday, August 30th. Creighton Clearwater on the King Arthur Night Show. It's 5:30 as we head around the area together. WICE Action News.
It's 4 o'clock. George Hyde reporting for Old Colony Cooperative Bank. Now, more music and Bob DiCarlo.
Thank you, George. 4:05. We come undone with the Guess Who?
The Bill Corsair Show on All-Star Radio in Providence. WICE.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, Bill Corsair.
To answer the musical question, what the heck happens to old disc jockeys? We go on to set new records.
This is WICE Providence.
Frank Smith, extremely cold. To say that is really an understatement. My wind chill is at minus 30, minus 40, even places minus 50, so be cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you wrote that.
After 10 o'clock on the Mike Sands Show, just 47 degrees.
Sammy Davis Jr. on WICE with a Candyman, #1 song for the 3rd week in a row.
WICE. Very, 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 very Providence.
Undisputed Truth at WICE. It's 8:09 now on a Saturday night with Rick Everett.
A friend of mine who just stopped in on the telephone said he's coming to London. When, Ringo Starr?
Going to play this weekend, I believe.
WICE in Southern New England. Your radio station #1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is WICE good guy George Hyde. Boy, it's been a long time since I've said that. Checking in from Tampa, Florida, with greetings and congratulations for all of the WICE good guys, the WICE All-Stars, and of course the WICE Double Dribblers who managed to be there for tonight's festivities. It's remarkable when you think about the talent that was assembled at the mighty 1290 in the late 60s and early 70s. King Arthur Knight, Bob DiCarlo, the Italian Stallion, Scotty Brink, Frank Kingston Smith, Bill Corsair, Dave Pierce, Pat Patterson, people in the newsroom like John S. Kennedy, Charlie Scoville, Jack Kavanaugh, Andy Fisher, Ralph Begleiter, led by one-of-a-kind managers like Bob Dempsey and salespeople like Dave Grady and Steve Trivers. It seemed we all had one thing in common. We couldn't read a coverage map or we would have figured out that the mighty 1290 wasn't so mighty after all. But that didn't stop us from fighting the good fight against great competitors. I wish I could be with you tonight, not only to hear once again the stories that are bound to fly about WICE, but also because you have chosen, rightfully so, to recognize one of WICE's toughest competitors, Dick Rackavan, as well. After viewing Rackets as Providence Radio's Darth Vader for so many years, it was quite a revelation to find out later on in life that he's actually one of the nicest, most supportive, and most loyal friends and co-workers it's possible to have. And in many ways, more of a Rhode Islander than some of us who are actually born there. So congratulations to all of tonight's honorees and to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame for presenting such a significant event to benefit a most worthwhile charity. Congratulations to all.
WICE was a very special part of my life. In fact, our lives. Since if I hadn't been on the way to the station that Christmas night on Angel Street, I never would have met my wife Janice 51 years ago. It was an honor to be one of the WICE good guys, a group of talents that were irrefutably the best in the business. Janice and I send our love and know that our thoughts and hearts are with you tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing WICE are legacy station, Bob DiCarlo and Frank Kingston Smith.
Yes, you go. You go.
Well,
I
was there. I was there before you were.
That's right. You hired me.
You know, when we put this radio station on the air just about to the day in 1962. Who was not born in this room in 1962? No, please don't raise your hand. So anyway, I welcome you to Star Wars Day for our radio station. We are only on the air from May of 1962 through 1973 when the station was sold and turned into a talk station. But we have 9 of our personalities in the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. Not too bad, huh? I started in September '63, right fresh out of college, Penn State University. And the next June, I was the #1 radio program in Morning Drive, beating Salty Brine. Sorry.
Oh.
That's how it went.
Oh, shucks. #1. He was
Anyway, I hired this dude in 1967. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Kingston Smith.
My turn?
Yeah, say something.
I was only at the station for a year and a half. I got hired to go to Boston. But I got to tell you that my year and a half at WICE was the most fun I think I've ever had standing up. Because we were a stand-up operation. We didn't have any chairs in the studios, so we stood. And it was the way radio was meant to be. We had this dynamic range, and you could move around and dance and carry on. And it was fun. That was the thing about every radio station I worked for, but especially WICE, because it's the first one that I got a chance to be myself rather than being a format monkey, which is what I was at my previous station. So I loved it. It was a great station, great people. I mean, to work with King Arthur Knight was something else.
Gary Grade.
Mike Sands.
Mike Sands, yes, indeed. Brad Pierce. And on it goes. George Hyde. Are you kidding? Let's see who else was in the. Oh, yeah. It was a great.
Al Fraser was doing overnights.
Well.
And then I worked with him again in Boston, and he turned out to be one of the best production people on the face of the earth. So I just enjoyed working with this dude.
Anyway, it was a great time in our radio careers. I started here fresh out of college and left in 1970. The best 7 years of my life in the greatest radio market in America at the time. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay here. Steve.
Thanks very much, guys, for coming up and reminiscing a little bit so we learn a little bit about WICE. We appreciate it very much. At this time, we're going to keep one of our guys right up there. Frank Kingston Smith is our first inductee to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. Let's take a look.
Hello, I'm Bob DiCarlo. Frank Kingston Smith began his Rhode Island broadcasting career when I hired him at WICE in 1967. From there, his voice was heard at WRKO in Boston under the Bill Drake assigned name of Bobby Mitchell.
WRKO 1016 WRKO free fun time on the Bobby Mitchell Show. Hey, it's a beautiful Saturday. It's going to be more beautiful tomorrow. It's really weekend and get outside with that portable radio. Soak up some sun rays. Joe Cash will be along at 11 o'clock this morning to take you through till 4. Help out. Double by Cattleman Fly and Ride and Ride. The Chris Nobles and Doubleday at 10:18 WRKO. Gotta be late part time on the Bobby Mitchell Show.
But it was back to his real name for Frank's Prime Time.
Music Radio, WABC.
Played this a little while ago because it's the new record this week on WABC. And who knows what's going to happen. Steelers Wheel, stuck in the middle with you.
The music's on us on WABC.
It's going to be whatever. I got a mouthful of pretzel. Okay, here we go. We'll try with the pretzel. Makes it more interesting. Mostly cloudy tonight. Lows in the middle 40s. Cloudy Wednesday, chance of rain developing late in the day. What else is new? Or at night. High Wednesday in the mid to upper 50s. Low Wednesday night, 45 to 50. Mostly cloudy, 51. WABC degrees.
And in 1974, Frank went back to Boston for good.
Great oldies all the time. Oldies 103.3.
Oldies 103, great oldies, great fun and wild thing. I think I love you.
But when you've worked just about every radio station in town, there comes a time when you gotta hang up the earphone.
It's been 19 years since I came back to Boston in 74, and I was here for 2.5 years before that, 68, 69, 70. Let's see, it's been WHDH, WBBF, we're at WBZ, I was on them. ROR, I did mornings on RKO, then I wound up on ZLX, and I wound up back here 5 years ago. And it has been a great deal of fun. And it's gonna be very tough to say goodbye to you because you have stayed with me for so long, but God bless you. I'm getting all choked up. Thank you so much for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee of the night to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, class of 2017, Frank Kingston Smith.
I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If that mic starts aiming at my belly button, I'm in trouble. I want to take a picture. I want to take a picture of everybody, put me in it too, so my wife knows really where I am, because I don't think she believes me. Here, want to just at least wave and try to be happy. Everybody, all together now. Hey! Hey! I'll take another one here. That was good. That was close. Thank you very much. Good grief. Well, I moved. I moved completely out of the area. I always worked in the Northeast, and I just flew in from Phoenix. Thank you, Bob. Right on cue. You're right on cue. And my arms are really tired. Now, I have not changed that much. Bob's getting a whine. I haven't changed that much. I turned a little gray, and I have a belt buckle that's the size of a hubcap. I have a rifle rack in the back window of my Mercedes, and I have taken to, when temperature gets up to 110, I have taken to saying, it's getting a little warm. Well, it's 104 in Phoenix today. So I'm getting ready for the big time. I had to tell you that at my time at WICE was early in my career, and I took an interest in radio when I was a little kid. I used to ride my bicycle to a radio station, to a record store in Ocean City, New Jersey, and watch a disc jockey do a 2-hour remote with the records and everything. And I always thought that was so cool. And I continued to think it was cool. I went to Penn State. I started in 1961 and listening to the radio at Penn State. I heard this guy on the radio at night. His name was Bob Zamboni. And I said, do you know him? And I said, I think I'd like to go meet this guy. So I weaseled my way into the radio station, not being a radio person, and met the guy who became Bob DiCarlo. And he was there. He graduated at the end of his classes ended in 1962. And I weaseled my way into the radio station for a job in 1964. Yes, I was playing gavottes, waltzes, and minuets on our FM station. To say I was bored would be an understatement. But I did get to do a little bit between Pirates double headers, got to play music on the AM side. And when I got my degree in 1965, I got his journalism degree and a history minor, and I said, I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to find an advertising agency. And I wound up working at what was Ogilvy, Benson, and Mather. And I was there until the blackout in 1965, the blackout in November, I think. And I said, I really didn't enjoy that. I wanted to go back into radio. So I went back to State College, Pennsylvania, and I was doing radio on WMAJ, which is where I'd heard Bob Zamboni, and I was also selling cars. I was selling Volkswagens for a dealer there, and I was working camera for some of the televised classes. And I said, I really like this, but I'm going to just kind of stick with radio. And I got a full-time job. I got the same show that Bob had when I first heard him in 1961. And it bloomed after that. But for some crazy luck, I wound up working in Philadelphia at a station that became one of the biggest rock and roll radio stations in the country. And there were 5 other guys and I'm the only one who's still alive. That gives you an idea how long ago this was. So I came here to Providence mainly to work with Bob. I needed somebody to help mentor me and sort of steer me, and he did a great job. It was very enjoyable. And I got to admit that I think about that thing that I did on that last radio station I was on. I said all the stations I'd worked at, and it all had to come to an end in 1993. I just said I was getting tired and radio was changing and I didn't enjoy it anymore. You say all good things come to an end. Hell, the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus is coming to an end this weekend. This is it. So, you know, it's a damn shame, but I got to say, I had a great time here. I enjoyed it. I loved the people. I got engaged to a girl, and then suddenly she didn't want to be engaged. So I got a ring back. I took the ring back to the jeweler and got my money back. And then I bought flying lessons. So I've owned 6 airplanes and got maybe 3,000 hours, but I had a great time. This is beautiful. I can't thank you. I am flattered and somewhat embarrassed because a lot of folks here have a lot more time in radio here than I did. But thank you all very, very much.
All right, Frank. Nice job, Frank. I got a little worried about 3 minutes in when he said, I went to Penn State in 1961. I was like, I believe that's 56 years ago. We got stuck on 1965 for a while, but then he brought us home after selling Model Ts or something like that. But Frank, we appreciate very much you coming on up here. I don't want to say Frank went too long, but the Celtics just beat the Cavs in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So. Hey, let's go out to Tara. Tara, you got somebody out there?
Right here. Big Doug never gets a microphone. Absolutely not tonight. Rule number 1. I want to introduce you to these 2 gentlemen here. Listen, we had a beautiful woman up in the front talk about her father. This is Terry and Randy McEnany, and their dad Jim was he was in for decades. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was on radio from 1946 to 1959, and mostly in Providence, ICE, JAR, where he became manager, and he actually was the boss of Ted Knight, who was the weatherman back in those days. And my dad, I'm proud to say, one of his highlights was doing the at the age of 19, did the New England High School Basketball Championships from Boston Garden, and it was something exemplary at the time to do a live broadcast the way he did. And we had the 78 records reduced down to CDs last year, so we got to hear my dad's voice, and I know how emotional she was hearing her dad, and we felt the same way. And he dedicated to radio, and we love it, and it's a great night tonight. Thank you.
Best thing about Rhode Island. Give him a round of applause. He said, we met a long time ago. His name is Terry McEnany. He goes, but I'm really Bobby Brajol. I go, of course I know you. And then his brother is also here. Tell us a little bit about your dad, Jim.
Well, my dad, radio was always his first love. He had a wonderful, wonderful way with words, a terrific voice. He was a real raconteur. And his life's dream was to be the Red Sox radio announcer growing up. Coming from New London, Connecticut, he dealt with a lot of New York Yankee fans, and he was just a Red Sox fan to the end. He passed away last May 28th with a Red Sox cap in his coffin, among other things, and he was a wonderful, wonderful man. Radio was his first love. He was in it for 30 years, and then raising a young family, he went into the retail business where he owned a store in Garden City in Cranston for years, but radio for His entire life was his first love, and he was nominated for induction into the Hall of Fame 2 weeks before he passed away, to his great gratification, and was one of his happy moments. And we want to thank John Rook for his involvement with that. John was very instrumental in doing that for us. He was a great guy. We miss him a lot, and he would have loved this ceremony tonight. It's a wonderful event. Congratulations to all the inductees. Thank you very much.
Let's give a round of applause for their dad.
Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. This is an appropriate time to look back on the last 12 months and some of the greats in our business that we have lost over that period of time since last we got together. Certainly Jim McEnany. Radio was Jim's first love, as we just heard from the guys, and he worked for 2 decades in Rhode Island management, many stations, WHIM, WICE, WJAR, and WLKW. Don Trotson. Don was a leader in sales at WEAN for many, many years, and later at Colony Cable, and just a great guy. Glenn Laxton. Glenn was a well-known reporter, first on WICE, we honored earlier, and later on 1110 CNN, and then for many years at WPRI TV, where you probably remember his name as well, Channel 12 in Providence. Also a member of the Screen Actors Guild. Glenn passed away last year after working on a film in Boston. And we also want to honor Leonard Altman. Len was a longtime announcer at WSAR and WEAN. So if we can take a moment to remember those who have passed since last we got together. Thanks very much. Our next inductee to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame is Dick Rackavan.
In 2016, Dick Rackavan received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Illinois Broadcasters Association. This year, it's our turn to salute him. Long before he managed a station in Chicago and ran station groups, Dick worked with many Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame inductees right here. As Senior Vice President of Outlet Broadcasting, he swapped the old WJAR AM, now WHJJ, for a Taunton FM station he renamed WSNE. Though the company was based in Providence, it also owned, and Dick oversaw, stations in Los Angeles, Detroit, Philadelphia, Washington, and Orlando. But we here remember him best for his previous job as the WPRO station manager, who named the WPRO building after salty brine. Over the years, the guy so many of us know as Rackets meant a lot to a lot of broadcasters, including me. I'm Holland Cook, proud to welcome to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, class of 2017, my boss, 3 times, Dick Rackavan.
For you, just you. Get that pro spirit everywhere in southern New England, from Cape Cod to Narragansett Bay. Everything we do is for you on WPRO.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, class of 2017, Dick Rackavan.
Having never been on the air, I'll give it a short and sweet. Thanks very much. Flattered. Great to be home.
I think we should put Dick in again next year. What do you think? Huh? I don't know about you, but I love the middle of that speech. It was really good. Thanks very much, Dick. And as I sit at home watching the third quarter of the game tonight, I will think of you. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee to the Radio Hall of Fame, Tony Mascaro.
I am David Simpson. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team. Tony Mascaro's long broadcasting career has spanned nearly 40 years and was split between the Bryan Broadcasting Center and the Big Apple.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
From his early days on 92 Pro FM as TM in the PM, a total of 17 years.
Tony Mascaro with the most music and the most chances to win. We got 50 minutes of music guaranteed every hour and more. Coca-Cola Magic Summer Winners coming up.
To the call to work at legendary power stations WPLJ and News Talker WABC in New York.
77 WABC.
Tony's radio talents have been heard up and down the dial. From 92 Pro FM to Light Rock 105.
Tony Mascaro. Yeah, I want to see Stevie B and the Cover Girls, maybe Snap or Laura Branigan. Caller 9 on the touchstones will spin the Pro FM concert wheel. Pro FM. All right, your chance is coming up to spin the Pro FM concert wheel for Snap, Alicia, Joey Kidd at Rocky Point, Stevie B and the Cover Girls, Warwick Musical Theater, or Laura Branigan, Warwick Musical Theater. From 92 Pro FM, listen for the touchstones to win.
Get up on it.
Yeah, get up on it. 92 Pro FM, get up on a chance to win $1,000. The Pro FM phrase it pays. Of course, we call and ask when you hear hit music. What station is your radio always on? You have to give us the phrase that pays. You like it. The station I listen to most, 92 Pro FM.
Take our money, watch it burn. Sink in the river, the lessons I've learned.
Light Rock 105's two light chicks, Heather and Amy, presenting the wicked, awesome 80s concert with Retro Futura. That's at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, August 10th. You're going to see Howard Jones, Paul Young, Katrina from Katrina and the Waves, and a lot more. Tickets on sale through Ticketmaster and at the Dunkin' Donuts Center box office. It's going to be wicked cool, wicked fun, and wicked awesome with Light Rock 105.
Very good. That sounds good to me. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame welcomes, as part of the class of 2017, Tony Mascaro.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, of course, and we're here for a great cause tonight for Special Olympics. One of the big reasons we're here. You know, you don't get to where you get in this business and accomplish things without the people that are behind you and the people that teach you. You can't do it alone, and throughout almost 40 years in this business, I've had so many people that have helped me and people I got to help. You know, I was at Rhode Island College, and in 1980, a fellow by the name of Jerry Audette, who was at Rhode Island College, brought me into Pro FM and really helped to launch my career. A couple of gentlemen that really gave me opportunities throughout my career, Mitch Dolan and Tom Cuddy. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Two just wonderful people in the industry. You know, I was fortunate to come into a legendary radio station and work with an air staff with Jimmy Gray and Tony Bristol and David Simpson and Big John Bina and Smilin' Jim Halfyard and Giovanni and Chris Camp and Greg Perry. We were there almost a decade together as that air staff, which was could be unheard of in those days. You just didn't have that longevity. And, you know, not just being with those people, I built relationships with them, and I learned from them. I was the last guy in on that air staff, so I was the young guy, I was the rookie. And, you know, eventually, so many people that I got to work with, Dave Stewart and Vic Michaels and Allie Knight, Joe Cortez, Patty Harrison, Ron St. Pierre, Greg Perry, Chris Camp. These people were so instrumental with helping me in my career. And, you know, we had a good time. We had a great time. We had the battles with JB 105, the ratings battles. We gave away money and cash. We had great promotions. It was an exciting time through the 80s. And, you know, we were playing, at that time, new artists were Prince and Madonna and Hall & Oates and Billy Joel and Duran Duran and Michael Jackson. And we just we had fun. It was a great time to be in the business. I think in all the years I've done this, that was one of my most favorite times, was in that time period through the 80s at Pro FM. My wife Sophia would always say, Tony loves Pro FM. He loves to work at Pro FM. And I did. And I learned from those people there. And that was the thing. We all had ideas. We all shared things. We all taught each other how to do radio. And we taught each other how to do it the right way and the fun way. So it was an exciting time. And, of course, things changed over time. After a while, we kind of broke up. Everybody sort of went different ways. And then it was exciting for me because a new regime of people came in. Younger people came in, Davey Morris and Chris Tyler and Rob Hogan and Ted Edwards. And from having worked now in the business, I got to teach them. David Simpson became the program director. I got to be the music director. And now I could teach these younger people how to do radio. It was so rewarding to be able to do that after spending time in the business. I've been lucky. I've been very lucky and blessed for all this time, for the opportunities I've been given. And once again, Tom Cuddy and Mitch Dolan gave me an opportunity to go to New York City. In 1997, it was very difficult for me to walk out of the Bryan Broadcasting Center, but it was something I had to do. And I went there for 17 years, and I got to work with a legend named Scott Shannon, which was incredible. That guy knows radio. Scott was great. Scott would, when he didn't like something I did, he'd pull me over and go, look out that window. See those yellow taxi cabs in big buildings? You're not in Providence anymore. That was Scott. You know, and then in 2014, I got the call to come back. And this time it was to come back to WPRO AM, and a legendary station. Of course, typical Rhode Island, my first day, February 3rd, 2014, we had a blizzard. So I got up at 5 in the morning and made my way in, and there was nobody there because all the hosts were gone. It was that week between Christmas and New Year. It was pretty much an empty building, but I walked in and got reunited with Dave Morris and Karen Kay and Duffy Egan and Dave Farrar and people like that I had worked with before. So it was a thrill to come back to that building and go back there and work there again. And to be able to go in there and work with an iconic radio station and a heritage talk radio station, and now working with Buddy Cianci and Gene Valicenti and Matt Allen and John DePietro and Dan York and Tara Granahan. It was amazing to be able to, again, be given that opportunity to come back in there and now do talk radio in Providence. Again, I'm lucky. I've been blessed. And I've been given so many opportunities in this business that, you know, they just don't come around that often. So I'm always so thankful. You know, I have a great support staff there. You guys are the best. It's incredible to work for this staff, to work for a market manager like Barbara Haynes and now Holly Paris and Joe Lembo and Randy Scott and Shelby Ray and Big Doug and so many others, Billy Haberman. I know I'm throwing names out, but you know what? All these people that I've mentioned were a part of my life for these 4 decades and made radio fun for me. And I learned from them, and I got to teach them. So it was constantly learning and doing radio. And that was the thing. All the people in this room that do it, they know that we all teach each other. We all teach each other how to do radio and how to have fun. I think, though, the people I have to thank most are my family. My wife, Sophia, my children, Anthony and Alex. You know, as most of you know, being in this business, it's a 24/7 business, so there were many times where holidays were missed, or I couldn't be there during big storms or hurricanes or big stories. And the love and support that you guys gave me over the years has just been absolutely incredible, and I love you for that. And you really helped me with my career. My family came from Connecticut, my Rhode Island family, all the love and support that you guys have given me over the years. I thank you so much. It's been an incredible run. I don't know where it will go from here, but again, I'm blessed and thankful for the opportunities I've been given and to work with so many wonderful individuals, especially so many of you in this room, my buddy Joe Cortez, and Allie Knight, and if I forgot anybody, so many of you out there. I'm honored and humbled to receive this award. I thank Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame and Special Olympics, again, a great cause. Congratulations to my fellow inductees from the class of 2017, and enjoy the rest of the night, have fun, and thank you.
Tony Mascaro, fantastic. Hey, yeah, he's no Dick Rackavan, but you know, that wasn't too bad. Standing ovation, big crowd. I think if Tony didn't get in, we would have held this at the Friendlies in booth 7. So I think Tony was. It was time for Tony to get into the hall. And you can tell Scott Shannon, we do have a big building in Providence, right? Superman building. I mean, there's nobody in it, but it's big, so we got it. Hey, at this time, I think we want to go out to Paul. Where's Paul? Paul Zangari? There. Got somebody for us?
Yes, I do.
Paul's sitting with his family. Are we going to interview your family, Tony?
Not at the moment, but I think we should acknowledge the typo for Tony. We sent him a note telling him he was being inducted, but it said he was indicted. He almost didn't show up.
It's a fine line between the two, let me tell you.
That's right. I wanted to start over here, introduce a gentleman from the Canadian Consulate. He is the consul, Frank Ruddick, and you're here in support of one of our inductees. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Really pleased to be here. It's great to be here. As somebody who grew up in the late 50s and 60s listening to AM radio, this is a real trip down memory lane. We're really honored to be here for Roger Laliberté's award. I think it's a fair guess that a lot of people in this room have names that are French, which represents the great migration of French Canadians to the Rhode Island area, and we're really proud that Roger Laliberté has been helping preserve French Canadian heritage and the French language, and so it's really great to be here with him tonight. I'm also struck, you know the old saying, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, and I get that sense from Roger and from all the inductees here this evening, so congratulations.
Je vous remercie. Thank you very much. And Claudette, let's see, where are you, Claudette? Bingo. Okay. Claudette Laliberté.
Bonsoir.
Merci beaucoup. Et vous?
De rien, monsieur.
Okay. 50 years with Roger.
More
on the
than,
air?
More than that. 50 years on the air, but we've been married 58 years.
Whoa. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think I should get the medal, don't you?
Absolutely. That's a new category we're going to have to work on.
Actually, he's a sweetheart, a wonderful father, a hard worker, and he loves his French heritage.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
58 years. It was 54 years when they arrived here at Twin River, so we'll keep this moving. Roger's coming up in just a second, but right now we want to honor the late Myrna Lamb.
Hi, this is Steve Cass. Myrna Lamb was a published author and teacher, an astrologer, and a good friend. In the Providence radio market, she hosted a variety of programs, from the award-winning Political Girl Talk to astrology and general advice. From 1990 to 93, her show was syndicated on NBC, and it was broadcast on 300 radio stations nationwide. Myrna died in 2014, but her memory lives on in the hearts of the many listeners that she touched.
Someone to count on, a friend you can turn to, someone to share with, because that's what friends do. Someone to listen, talk net, someone who cares.
Hello there, welcome to TalkNet. I'm Myrna Lamb. Let's get together. Let's talk.
talk. Our phone number is 1-800-743-8000, 1-800-743-8000. Give me a call and we can talk about whatever's on your mind, anything going on at home, in the community. Whether there's a little problem you'd like someone to listen to, someone to hear you out, I'm here for you. Maybe there's something you kind of like, a piece of advice, I'll offer that too. Oh, by the way, did you go out and buy your Elvis stamps today? No, I didn't either. What can I say? I do admire his talent. I do. The man was remarkably talented. But I don't think I'm in a big rush to invest in the Elvis stamp.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame welcomes to the class of 2017, Myrna Lamb. Accepting on behalf of Myrna, a Hall of Famer himself, Steve Cass.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald, voice of the Rams. Almost took us to the Final Four, and it was all because of him. Myrna Lamb, when I started doing talk radio on WHJJ back in 1980, called me one day and said, you know, I'm an astrologer, and I'd love to come on your show and take phone calls, etc., give advice, help people. So I said, great. She did, and history was made by Myrna Lamb over the years. She was so popular on the phone lines that she actually blew the circuit right out of the phone company's office. It was incredible. I mean, she broke everything. We never forgave her for that. But anyway, she worked out of her home. She had an office where she would see clients, and she was booked every day of the week for all those years. She was incredibly positive, up-tempo, and when she joined us doing her own show on WPRO later on, she was a liberal talk show host, which is a rarity. And Dan York couldn't wait to take her apart after she finished the show with a different view on the issues she talked about. She was married to one of the great sculptors in America, Robert Lamb. She taught at RISD. She wrote books, and she was just an incredible talent. And several weeks before her passing, she threw an unbelievable party where I think there must have been, I don't know, 150 people celebrating her life. I'm so sorry she's not here to accept this herself. But imagine coming from this area, no real history in radio, and doing a syndicated show over 300 stations on NBC. An incredible accomplishment. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks very much, Steve. And I had the honor to work with Myrna at WHJJ as well. She was a wonderful person, and we all have great respect for her, and we miss her quite a bit. And she also, on several occasions, helped me find my keys when I couldn't find them. So that was pretty cool, too. We have a letter. Dear committee, sorry I can't make the dinner. Please honor all the people that are there. I have a conflict Thursday night. I already have plans for dinner with Andrew Jackson. Sincerely, Donald Trump. Want to thank Donald for sending that along. Tara, you got something out there?
All right, I want to point out that we had a little bit of a, I'm going to play off of Paul Zangari. He had the wrong typo. The typo is Tony's name in the program, and I believe this table, someone's calling him Toy. Can we hear it for Toy? Toy, 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 Toy. And guess who, you know, we get along so well in the brine shrine, as we call it, the salty brine shrine. We do now.
Sure.
That's supposed to get a laugh. We do now. And you're the one that picked out the typo, so I'm going to let you explain it.
I can't explain it. How did it happen?
Tony Mascaro became Toy Mascaro. Mascaro.
Toy here, Mascaro there. We know his name in our building, and we love him.
Let me just tell you what, the number one person who complains, and he's not in his seat, he's over there, Gene Valicenti, about having a copywriter in the building. Where were you when they put the program together, Gene Valicenti? Toy Mascaro?
Tara, I'd like to accept my award posthumously if you ever get around to giving me one. I'll do it now. Thank you.
We'll get you a copyright in the morning. All right, and again, we also want to point out all the Hall of Famers in the room. Give them all a big round of applause, everyone who's here, including this gentleman. I'm coming to you. You're on the list to torture, Mr. Holland Cook.
May I be the last, probably, to congratulate you on your new show. One of the pro personalities. It's wonderful to be here. It's certainly a thrill. You're such a lovely audience. We'd like to take you home with us. We'd love to take you home. But I want to recount on the prize drawing. It's a real honor to stand on that stage a year ago, part of the 9th class of the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. By that point, I figured I was going in posthumously and just hoping not soon, but we do have the bishop here just in case, so.
Just in case. All right, thank you, Holland Cook.
All right, Tara, thanks very much. Thanks, Holland. Always good to have you here. Our next inductee to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, Roger LaLiberty.
Roger LaLiberty began his radio career in 1957 at WWRI West Warwick, where he started L'Echo Musical, a program that entertained the large French-Canadian population and carried timely information of concern to his audience. In 1963, he brought his French language program to WWON in Woonsocket, and in 1985 moved to WNRI, where it still airs today and is broadcast worldwide on WNRI.com. In 2004, Roger realized his life's dream of owning a radio station by becoming a partner in WNRI Radio. He holds the distinction of being the only Hall of Famer to have served as a law enforcement officer and a police chief in Coventry.
Roger LaLiberty inviting you to join Claudette and me for the French program, L'Echo Musical, on WNRI 1380 AM and 95.1 FM, Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 12 noon. À bientôt. Bonjour et bienvenue à l'Écho Musical, programme français qui vous parvient sur les ondes du poste WNRI 1380 AM et 95,1 FM. On débute avec la voix de Patrick Normand.
Pour comprendre ce qui nous rend heureux, pour comprendre ce qui rend le ciel bleu, c'est bien facile. Quand la saison d'amour nous entraîne, comme un oiseau qui revient pour l'été, oui, comme un ruisseau coulant dans la vallée, oui, comme un cours d'eau. Je me laisse emporter, c'est la saison.
WNRI Woonsocket, 1380 AM and 95.1 FM, serving the Blackstone Valley since 1954.
Brought me back to French class in high school right there. I didn't do very well then, and I didn't grasp a lot of it here, but one thing I do know, that the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame class of 2017 welcomes Roger LaLiberty.
Well, I haven't been this nervous since the day I got married. First of all, I want to thank the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. This is quite an honor. Quite an honor when you look at people like Mowry Lowe, for instance. And it's also a very humbling experience. But I accept this and will remember this for the rest of my life. People are probably saying, how did you survive 60 years of doing French? And I guess you need a determined host, and that was me. We also have a very loyal French audience. reaching even into Canada. And, of course, loyal sponsors. Excuse me, no cough switch. The loyal sponsors that have kept us on the air because there are bills to pay, obviously. And they've done that for us, many of whom have been with us for years. They say, blessed are the brief, so I will be brief. But I would like to recognize some people who are making this evening even more special. And certainly that is the person of Mr. Frank Rhode, representing the Canadian Consulate General in Boston. We thank you for being here. And also recognize a good friend, goes back, and he was very active when we had our French soirees in Woonsocket, organized by Noel Pinsons, who's here this evening. That's Bishop Jellicoe. Bishop Jellicoe even serenaded us at these soirees with his cornet, was it? Is that what? Saxophone? I don't know the difference. But don't tell him, but he wasn't very good. But the audience loved him. And if you don't mind, Bishop, I have one little story that I'd like to tell the audience here this evening. I'm sure they're not aware. As you know, Bishop Jellicoe came to us from another state, and after being here a while, wondered whether people would recognize him. So he went to l'Hospice Saint-Antoine up in Woonsocket, North Smithfield area, and he wanted to test and see if people recognized him. So he spots an elderly lady in a wheelchair, went over and said, "Excuse me, but do you know who I am?" And she looked up at him and said, "No, but if you go to the desk, the nurse can tell you." Also like to recognize my partners from WNRI, Roger and Dick Bouchard, Dave St. Ange, and associates as well, Jeff Gamache, our program director, who's here this evening, and my Sunday morning Goomba, Polka Paul, who's on just before we do our show at 12. Also, some other people who are making this evening so special, and those are the crew that's here, and I mean a crew from the Coventry Credit Union. Just stand up if you would, please. Including our CEO, Mr. David Root. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize someone who's been very special to me, and that's my wife, Claudette. And it's going to be 59 years this year, my friends, that she's put up with me. And she's on the show with me as well, and I think she deserves certainly a good portion of this award, because if I've been there 60 years, she's been there 59. So we'll put your name on this as well. The remainder of the family, my daughter Nicole is here with her friend Dan, and my daughter Giselle, her husband Corey, and some friends that we have at our table as well, lifelong from the Manville area. And the reason I mention that is that some 14 years ago, I guess it was, I had a health issue and could not do the show on Sunday, and the crew came to my rescue. Mom went up and was used to doing the announcing, and she did the announcing. Daughter Nicole was manning the telephone calls, and Giselle, who'd had some experience at WCVY, which was a high school radio station at the time, FM, was at the controls. And together they managed to save the day for Dad at WNRI, with the help, of course, of Dave St. Ange and others from the radio station who were there to help them along. So many, many thanks to them. I think they are certainly as deserving as I am of this award. I'm also told by a reporter for the newspaper who interviewed me day before yesterday, I believe it was, that he thinks we may be the longest continuous running foreign language program in the country. And just a couple of words in French, if I may, and that's merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Roger LaLiberte. Glad to see that Roger squeezed his wife Claudette in there about, 18th on the list. That was a game saver right there, so that was good. Paul, you got somebody?
Jeff, are you enjoying yourself this evening?
Yes, I am.
Is it a wonderful night?
Yes, it's a wonderful night. And congratulations to everyone on AM 630 WPRO.
My mic didn't fool you, huh?
Yes.
Thank you for being here, Jeff.
You're welcome.
All right, Jeff, thanks very much. Thank to Paul and Tara for the wonderful job that they've done tonight. We appreciate both of their help throughout the night. Time now to honor Jabo Jones. Let's go to the video and welcome his wife, Heidi West.
Some know him as Johnny Dowd. Some know him as Jabo Jones. He's been in front of a microphone since the age of 16. His love of radio has led to programming stations in Boston, Chicago, Hartford, and Worcester. His on-air broadcast career highlights include JB 105 in Providence, Z100 New York, KISS 108 Boston, and Eagle 106 in Philadelphia. Today, you can hear Jabo in the afternoon on 105.7 WROR in Boston and nationally on Sirius XM 70s on 7. Now, let's take a listen to Johnny and Jabo.
More Music 105, WPJB 704. At the middle of a half hour continuous dollars, there's Tina Turner.
105 WPJB.
The all new all here 105 WPJB FM Providence 802. Johnny Down with Lionel.
105.7 WROR, Boston's greatest hits, and J-Bo, go, 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 go. To your phone at 420, 855-485-2000, 855-485-2000. You too, Artist of the Day. Oh yeah, they're going to give you the green. 500. 105.7 WROR, Boston's greatest hits, J-Bo. St. Patty's Day in Boston. You know, it's a very religious holiday here. You'll know that after partying tonight and waking up tomorrow saying, oh my God. 105.7 WROR, Boston's greatest hits, J-Bo. First time I heard Tears for Fears was in the balcony at the Orpheum in the 80s. They rocked so hard the balcony started to sway. Although that could have been the beer. Surveying all 50 states at a rum bar in Bermuda, it's J-Bo with your Super 70s sound.
Sirius XM 70s on 7.
J-Bo Jones on Sirius XM 70s on 7, where baseball's opening day 2 days away. All right? Here comes Elton. So great we can say bitch on the radio these days without getting fired.
J-Bo Jones.
You're fired.
Sirius XM 70s on 7.
Ooh, look at my 70s on 7 on Sirius XM Thanksgiving guest.
Hi, it's Natalie Cole, and you're listening to one of my favorite DJs.
Hey, baby.
J-Bo Jones.
I love you. Now give me some of that boo-boo that you do.
It is the weekly Top 40 Countdown and a May full of hits. Rick Dees along with J-Bo Jones.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it. Hey, it's J-Bo Jones. I'm in the hot seat this weekend and taking you on a ride all the way to number 1.
I have heard enough jingles to last me a lifetime tonight, right? The newest inductee to the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame, the class of 2017. We are honored to welcome Johnny Dowd, J-Bo Jones.
Everyone who is still here gets a car. I'll square it away with Special Olympics, don't worry about it. Good evening to the esteemed inductees, honored guests, and fellow Dr. Robert Leonard hair clients. Your hair looks great, except for table 7. I apologize. They're with me, don't worry about it. Being last to speak tonight, I'm deeply honored to share with you my extra long and self-serving speech. This award is overwhelming. I was barely 18 when I took over the overnights at JB 105. I was so young. I moved out of my house. It was my first full-time job. Now, a raw personal story, a story I call the mistake of my career. I was 6 months into my overnight show. I didn't know anyone. One night on the air at JB 105, a lovely young female voice calls me in the request line. I start a conversation with her. She was a Biltmore operator. And after about 2 weeks, we're talking every night. She asked me out for a drink. I said, sure. She said, how about Friday before your show? I said, hey, I'm alone in a new town, my first job. Strange woman off the request line asked me out for a drink. What could possibly go wrong? So we meet on a Friday night. 3 beers, 2 shots, a glass of wine, and an empty stomach later, it's time to go on the air. Trying to get sober, those 2 Dunkin' Donuts didn't help. I struggled into the studio, and I knew I was drunk. You know how we had the meters, 2 meters on the board? I saw 5. And the meters were all over the place, and it wasn't a Beatles song. I stumble through my first hour. About 3:30 a.m., I start to sober up, and the hotline rings. Who could that be? It was my assistant program director, Mike Waite. Those of you know Mike, he has a deep voice, and I heard on the other end, Johnny, what happened? And I began to explain as I was about to get fired. Well, Mike, he says, Johnny, stop. I have to say, you sound great. What did you do? I said, well, before my show, I kind of relaxed. And he said, well, Johnny, whatever you did, I want you to repeat that every single night from now on. Good night, clear. And so, of course, I made a decision that night never to drink again before my show. And I sadly continued to suck for the next 4 years. So I want to thank Mike Waite and Todd Chase for hiring me at JB. I want to congratulate all the distinguished inductees. Thanks to the board of the Hall of Fame, Debbie Rich, John Rook, my buddy Dick Bahalik, all of you that voted for me. I want to thank my supportive, talented boss, Mary Mena, who's here tonight, market manager of Beasley in Boston. So honored you're here, Mary. She's why the cluster's #1 in sales. Rob Hogan, the amazing promotion director of Magic 106, here tonight. I want to thank my dad in heaven and my mom. My mom is here tonight, always supporting me. Shirley Dowd, always encouraging me. Thank you, Mom. I love you. Thanks to my brother Rich, sister-in-law Sharon, my good friend Todd Packin here tonight, all at the table. My brother and sister-in-law, Jason and Priscilla. Thank you guys for coming. And lastly, I want to thank my best friend, my champion, and my beautiful love of my life, Heidi, my wife. She was the voice on my intro that kept cutting in and out. And it only cost me $300. Isn't that nice? Thank you, honey. Honey, this award is for you. Somehow you keep me grounded and still, every day, make me feel like a Hall of Famer. So I love you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This is a great honor. Thank you. Have a good night.
J-Bo Jones, ladies and gentlemen. J-Bo told you about his biggest mistake he made in the business. I'd like to tell you about mine. Started about 2 hours ago. So, no, this was a great night to honor some very, very special people in our business and people that, you know, we know as professionals, but also we know them as friends. One more time, please, let's congratulate our honorees this year. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We appreciate it very much. Have a great rest of the night and a safe drive home. And thanks to everybody that contributes to Rhode Island Radio.